this before. All away from my mind. Darling, please forgive me if I stare a little more. I can't look away from those brown eyes.
Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing really well today. So I have a new sewing project to start today and I'm really itching to get into this one. I am really excited about it. So it was such a funny coincidence because recently I was doing some digging online trying to find if I could purchase fabric that is the same as what they use at Reformation. I wanted to see if I could find the exact same prints because I love the prints that Reformation does, and I thought, you know, designer fabric is available online. Maybe I could find this. And I stumbled across Yard Blocks Fabrics and they had a selection of Reformation fabrics, which I was so excited about. And lo and behold, the very next day, I had an email in my inbox from the lovely folks at Yard Blocks Fabrics asking if I wanted to use one of their fabrics for a video. So I was so excited. So let me show you the fabric that I got. So this is the print that I will be using for today's project. It's a really beautiful rayon crepe and I love the green color. I think it's going to make such a pretty dress. To find a little bit of inspiration, I reverse image searched this fabric to see what Reformation actually did. So I'll pop a few pictures in here, but they have so many beautiful fabrics and they've been really kind and offered to do a giveaway for us today. So if you'd like to win 3 yards of the fabric of your choice, adding up to a total of $45. Go ahead and check out the form down below and also leave a comment on this video letting me know what you would make with the fabric you choose, and I will pick a winner in 1 week. I'm so thankful to Yard Blocks for providing us with a little fun giveaway to kick off today's video, and I can't wait to cut into this. So let me tell you about my inspiration and vision for this project. So if you watched my last dress video, I used a 1930s nightgown pattern for that dress, and I'm actually going to use the same pattern again today, but I'm going to vary it a little bit because I really enjoyed working with that pattern, but I had a few ideas while I was using it for some ways I could make it in a different way. So that's what we're going to try today. And I'm also going to be lining this because this fabric is quite sheer. So I have to shout out my older sister Lacey because I realized I needed a really nice drapey lining fabric for this. So I gave her a call because she had bought a lot of beautiful fabrics at the Dallas Fabric District last time we were there and bought them in bulk. So I was like, maybe you have something. And she had the perfect silk crepe that I can use to line this dress, and she was kind enough to let me use it. So I've already cut the lining out and I'm going to cut the dress out today. So I'm just going to get started today. We'll see how far I get, but I'm really excited to take you along for this project. I also wanted to note that I saw quite a few new subscribers join from my last sewing video. So thank you so much for being here. I'm really thankful to have you all here, and I hope we'll have a lot more fun sewing cozy times here in the future. So let's go ahead and jump in and get started today. Now, in case you missed my last video where I made this pattern, I wanted to tell you just a little bit about it. This pattern is a 1930s reproduction by Lady Marlowe Patterns, and I have the pattern guide pulled up here on my iPad. It's originally a nightgown pattern, but I think it makes for a really cute, more modern dress. And what I'm going to be doing today is making the view with the puffy sleeves and the little bit of a curved split hem in the front. Now this pattern is really simple because it's just 2 bodice pieces in the front and 1 in the back, and then it has sleeves and then a skirt that is made up of 4 panels. So very simple to sew together. The sleeves are set in a raglan style, and that makes it easier to sew in my opinion. So very fun and simple pattern. The skirt is cut on the bias, which is a little bit finicky, but it actually went really well the last time I made it, so I'm crossing my fingers it'll go well this time. Now the way this pattern is designed is that it has a drawstring going through the bust area of the dress. So this time I'm going to do it a little bit differently. I'm going to add gathers to the front instead of a drawstring. So we're going to try that and see how it looks, and then I'm also going to be lining it like I said, so it'll be a little bit different. I won't line the sleeves, but I will line everything else. So I think that is it. I'm gonna have a little bit of coffee to gear up to get started, and we're gonna get started cutting this out. Cutting out is never my favorite part of the sewing process, so I may need to watch a movie to motivate myself, but we're gonna get started. You wanna show everyone your beautiful new collar. Okay. Look at Coconut's new Rifle Paper Company bow collar. My brothers and sister and brother-in-law got me some of this stuff from the Foggy Dog for my birthday, and I love it so much. I think she looks so precious. Don't you look so pretty? Don't you look so pretty?
Please don't be afraid of all the things that could go wrong. We can take our time and we may change our mind. But I can tell a good thing when a good thing comes along. Darling, tell me all about the dreams you had last night. You can be so restless in your sleep. I ain't going nowhere, all this feels so very right when you find.
Okay, so today I'm going to start out by working on the bodice. And I'm going to assemble the shell and the lining separately and then attach them before I put the sleeves into the dress. So I'm just starting with the bodice front pieces. And you might be wondering, how is this a bodice front? Well, this is the two halves of the bodice front. This becomes a V neckline here in the middle. And they have this little extended edge here that in the original design is for the drawstring casing. So we're not going to be using that today, but I am just leaving it there to give me a little bit of buffer. So the first thing I'm going to do is add gathering stitches right down the seam line for the center front. So on this side and on this side, and then with the right sides together, I'll sew these two pieces together after I gather up the fabric a little bit. So I'm going to start there. And then from there, I'm going to add the bodice back to the front. So sewing the side seams. So this is where I'm starting. And because I am lining this on the bodice, I won't be using any seam finishes. I'm just going to be stitching the seams. So it should be pretty quick. Okay, so I have the gathers adjusted and this is pinned together, but I wanted to show you a little bit of how I did the gathers. So I concentrated them really towards the lower third of this bodice piece, and that is for two reasons. One, because I know I'm going to lower this neckline just a little bit because the last time I made it, it was a bit too high. And so I know I'm going to make that adjustment, but I want to wait until I put the dress together to kind of see exactly where I want it. And so I want these gathers to be concentrated just a bit lower down. But I've also left this a bit ungathered here at the very bottom because I want this to be really clean when I sew the skirt to the bodice. So that adjustment should help. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch this in place now and then press that seam open. All right, so the bodice front is stitched together now, and so now I'm going to add the bodice back and sew the side seams. All right, as usual, I realized I needed to charge my camera, and so off camera I did some side seams. I did the side seams on the sleeves and the skirt. So I'm going to go ahead and sew the sleeves to the bodice, and to do this I'm just matching those side seams up with the side seams of the bodice, and then this just aligns to set in the raglan sleeve very easily. So I'm going to do this and then I'll be ready to attach the skirt to this part of the dress. I did go ahead and do French seams on the sleeve side seam just since this is the part of the dress that won't be covered with the lining. So far I'm really enjoying working with this fabric. It's really lightweight, but it's pretty manageable because of the crepe texture. I feel like it's not too slippery. So I'm excited to see how everything comes together. I will say that one of the skirt pieces, when I was sewing it together, I realized that I had not cut it very accurately because I think it slipped around a little bit while I was cutting, so I had to correct it. Okay, that is one sleeve pinned in place, and I'll go ahead and do the other while I'm at it. Alright, so now the sleeves are attached and I've gone ahead and pressed those seams. And then before we get working on turning these into a puffed sleeve, I'm going to do two things. First, I'm going to adjust the neckline just a little bit. I just tried this on to see where I wanted the neckline to sit, and I'm really happy with the way it's looking so far, which is great. So I'm just cutting in a little bit and then I'm going to taper this to fit the same start of the neckline. I just want this a bit more open here. And then I'm going to go ahead and sew the skirt to the bodice just so I can try this on and see how it's looking. And then we'll work on changing these sleeves up a little bit. Now I know you wouldn't think that much fabric makes a difference, but it really does. One thing I love about this skirt is that it's so much fabric, but it just compacts so easily because it's so flowy. All right, hi friends, it is day 2 of the Reformation dress project. And I am going to set to work on the sleeves. The shell of the dress is pretty much done. I just need to add the puffiness to the puffy sleeves. So the way I'm going to do this is to create a casing at the bottom of the sleeve and then add some bias tape to create a drawstring. So the first thing I need to do is just to make some bias tape, and thankfully this fabric is quite wide and I still have some extra. So I'm going to make some bias tape, and then I will just do a wide hem on the bottom of each sleeve to create the casing for the drawstring, and add the drawstring, and we'll see how that looks. I think it's going to be really cute. And then from there, I just have the lining to go. So it's really coming together. All right, now to make the casing for the sleeves, what I have done is fold in at the lower edge about 1/4 of an inch and then about 1/2 of an inch to create a double fold hem. And then I've gone ahead and marked the center of the sleeve, and I'm going to stitch a little buttonhole right here in the center. This is where my drawstring is going to go through and come out and tie into a bow. So we're gonna make sure that that is stitched first. So over at the sewing machine, I'm going to stitch the buttonhole, and then I can come through and top stitch all the way around the bottom of the sleeve. And for my little drawstring, all I did was make some bias tape and then fold it in half a second time so that it is doubled. It's quite thin now. And I'm going to top stitch all the way down each of these pieces to create our drawstrings. So now I have everything stitched up, and I can add the drawstrings to the sleeves to turn them into this gathered sleeve. So I'm just going to use a safety pin to thread this through that buttonhole that we added to the middle of the sleeve here. And I think when I tie this into a bow, you won't really see the buttonhole, so hopefully it will be at least fairly subtle. So here is how the sleeve is looking. Just a cute little subtle puffy sleeve with the tie, and I think it looks really darling. All right, hello friends. So it is a few days later now, and I am setting out to finish this dress today because all that I have left to do is to make the lining and add the lining to the dress. So it should be pretty straightforward, but it's been a very busy week because a little bit of news here. I'm actually moving, and I'm moving this weekend, and so I've been a little all over the place, but I'm very excited to get this dress finished and then get my sewing machine all packed up to go to its new home. So I'm going to get started on the lining here, which will be sewn together just in the same way as the outside of the dress, just without the sleeves. And then I'll be back to show you how I added to the dress. Okay, I just had one of those moments where I had the exact perfect amount of thread on my bobbin because I went to change the thread color and there was nothing left. That is very satisfying. Now for the lining for this project, I wanted something that would have a very similar weight to this lightweight crepe fabric. So I have this silk crepe that I think is going to head drape really beautifully with the fabric. And because this is more of like a light cream white color, it's going to make the green really pop with this behind it. So I think it's going to work well. So I'm going to go ahead and put this all together. All right, the lining is assembled. That only took me about 25 minutes to do, so that was nice and quick. And now I'm going to add the lining to the dress. So the way I'm thinking will be best to attach this is to attach it along the underarm seam. So I'm going to go ahead and pin these in place. So I'm going to take that underarm seam, and with the sleeve facing up, I'm going to match the right side of the lining here on the outside of that seam, on that underarm seam right there. All right, I pinned it on backwards and had to redo it, so now we're ready to go. All right, the lining is in, and that really gave this a nice amount of body, which I think is going to be great. You can see how it's attached here and covering up that underarm seam, which I think looks really nice and clean. So to finish off the neckline edge, I'm just going to use some bias tape that I'm going to whip up really quickly. And then all we have left to do is sort out this hem down here. So we're almost there.
Never felt the kind of love like this before. You took all the worries from my mind. Darling, please forgive me if I stare a little more. I can't look away from those brown eyes. And if we settle down, we don't have to settle down. Please don't be afraid of all the things that could go wrong. We can take our time and we may change our mind. But I can tell a good thing when a good thing comes along. Darling, tell me all about the dreams you had last night.
All right, so I have brought you outside to show you this dress because it has been such a cloudy, gloomy few days, and I wanted to go ahead and show it to you, but I am so happy with how it came together. I think this print is so pretty, and it's just so fun to get to work with a Reformation fabric and make something kind of similar. And it was also fun to try the 1930s pattern in a different way with the lining. So I'm very happy with it, and I hope you enjoyed seeing how it turned out. I think that this fabric is so, so beautiful. So make sure to enter the giveaway because I'm really excited for one of you guys to get to try something similar. All right, friends, that is it for today's project. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I really love the way the dress turned out, and it was so fun to work with this Reformation fabric. So definitely check out Yard Blocks if you're interested in finding something similar, and definitely check out the giveaway if you want to get some Yard Blocks fabric for yourself and win that here. I really enjoyed working with this fabric. It has such a nice texture and drape, and I really love how the dress came together. And I hope you also enjoyed seeing another way to make the 1930s pattern, because I love how different this looks from the first iteration of the pattern that I did. So thank you so much for spending your time here on my channel today. I have some things to pack up here because this move is happening soon. So this is actually the last video that will be here in the apartment. I will show a little bit of the moving process in a future video, but I am so excited for what's to come. I'm definitely going to miss the apartment so much. I love this place, and it's been such a fun year and a half, but on to new things. So thank you again so much for being here today. If you're not yet subscribed to my channel and you would like to be, you can go ahead and do that by clicking the button down below. Thank you again for being here, and I'll talk to you in a new video very soon. Bye.
We may change our mind, but I can tell a good thing when a good thing comes along.